decide that you're the juiciest peach on the tree and just accept that not everybody loves peaches, right? So you're just looking for whoever really appreciates the peach that you are.
This is episode number 532 with Elaine Goldhammer. How to prepare your brain for more fun in dating. And who doesn't want to have more fun in dating? I think people really have gotten to the point where dating is a drag, dating feels like hard work. So I am excited to have this conversation with Elaine. Hi, everybody. I'm Sandy Weiner. Welcome back to Last First Date Radio, where we believe it is never too late to go on your last first date. And to support you on your journey to lasting love, I wrote a book called Becoming a Woman of Value, How to Thrive in Life and Love. And whether you're single or in a relationship, this book will inspire you to play a bigger game and succeed in all areas of life and love, and really increase your self-worth, your self-confidence. You can find it on Amazon for Kindle or paperback. And every week I share a tip from the book. This week's tip is actually very apropos. And I don't do these tips on purpose to go with these with the episode, but this one happens to fit perfectly. And it's step number 3, be playful. We do not play enough. And today we're going to be talking about playing in terms of dating, but in general, like, how often do you laugh? How often do you access the inner child, which to me is one of the best parts of ourselves that we kind of abandon along the way? So my challenge to you is to find some way to just let your hair down, so to speak, even if you don't have a lot of hair, and be more playful, have fun. And before I bring Elaine on, I want to give a shout out to my Facebook group. It's called Your Last First Date. If you're not yet a member, come on over and join us there. It's for women over 40 who are interested in self-growth along the journey to lasting love. No victim mindset. It's really a place to grow and learn along the way to your last first date. So join us at Your Last First Date. And now for my guest, Elaine Goldhammer. She is a doctor, a physician. She became a hypnotherapist and life coach, and she works with clients' subconscious and conscious brains. Her practice helps clients get past their inner struggles to live a life of less anxiety, fear, and reactivity, which is all awesome. Welcome to the show, Elaine.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. And we were just talking. I've been listening to your podcast since I was divorced and figuring it all out. And you've had such a big impact on my life. And so it's really full circle for me to be here.
Well, I'm so excited that you're here and that my podcast made a difference. And I'd love to hear some ways that it did become, like you said in your notes to me, that it was a lifesaver in your personal life. Tell us a little bit about where you were when you started listening to the podcast and how it helped.
Yeah, I was 51, 52 when I was divorced. And I have 3 kids. 2 of them were still in high school, and one was on her way to college. And I felt very alone. Like no one talked about their divorces openly at work. And I was working all the time. So I didn't know a lot of people in my personal life that had gone through divorce. And so hearing that other people were going through this and not feeling so alone was such a huge impact for me. There were so many lessons that I learned from your podcast, but I thought of a few of them. One was that you gave me permission to seek out men without advanced degrees. And that was such a big difference. Like, there are a lot of really smart people out there who aren't physicians or have PhDs or, and so forth. So having permission to do that was a huge advantage to dating. I also learned in that process not to damp down how powerful and how intelligent I was. At first I was really scared I was going to scare men away by showing all the things I did in my community and, that I was a physician and so forth. But what I learned was that you want to scare away those people that are scared of that. Like, of course, you only want to attract people that are attracted to who you actually really are. So, just listening to what other people said also gave me permission to just show who I really was. And then another thing, I love it when you have the men on your podcast. I really learn a lot from them. And one of them said something that really helped me out a lot was that a lot of men don't have close friends and also don't have people that really listen to them or compliment them. So learning to compliment men in a sort of honest way was such a great way to get dates, really. Just
Mm.
giving a genuine compliment on those dating apps, like they're like, oh yes, I want to spend more time with her. So that was not that I was manipulating anyone, but it was just sort of nice to know what men on the other side of the table, what they wanted or what was felt good to them. My biggest lesson that I don't know, I mean, it was all a gestalt, whether I learned it from your podcast or from just experience of me dating, is that men were not interested in saving me. Like that was the biggest lesson, I think, was I when I was first divorced, I had this underlying thought, like, shouldn't someone be saving me or helping me? And I just really learned that no one is interested in that. So then it just really helped me tune into, well, what is it that I really want? Yeah, I just wanted companionship, and I didn't want to make it that complicated. So yeah, so those are like the biggest tidbits I feel like I learned that really helped me from listening to your show.
Those are great. Those are actually some of the highlights of what I teach. And I think one of the biggest things that trip people up is the whole, he has to have advanced degrees. I can't tell you how many women have missed out on opportunities to connect with amazing, smart, accomplished men who don't have college degrees even a bachelor's degree, let alone a master's or a PhD or an MD or lawyers, accountants. There are brilliant people, and we can name many who are famous, like Steve Jobs, who never finished college. And so that's a great one. I'm glad you highlighted that. And I agree with you about the accomplishments. I think there's just to kind of put a little bit of a caveat on that when we shouldn't be diminishing who we are, but also if we lead with our accomplishments. And I used to do this with, I accomplished this and I accomplished that. People are not dating your resume, they're dating you as a person. So while you don't want to diminish who you are and what you've accomplished, you also want to lead with your warmth, your personality, your passions. Who you are in a relationship is not an MD or an hypnotherapist or any of the other things that we accomplish, which are great. But you also don't want somebody who's intimidated or scared by who you've become, right? So I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Yeah, that is a really good point. Yeah. Yeah, I guess thinking back, because I've been in a long-term relationship now for 2 to 3 years. So yeah, right. I trickled it in during the dates. Like I didn't like put it on my dating profile per se. But sometimes when I sort of let those things out, the men would say, "Oh, well, why didn't you put that on your profile?" I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, it all worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten into trouble with men by telling them what I do because all they want to do is talk about their dating struggles and have me be their dating coach.
Oh, no.
Or I had a guy once, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, and I might have, but I had a guy who looked me up based on what I told him, that I was a life coach, and he had my first name. That's all he had, and the city I lived in. He looked me up and he comes into the date and he said, "I'm really angry at you." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because you kept me up all night. I looked you up and there was so much about you on the web." And he pulled out of his pocket notes that he had taken. It was the creepiest thing. And then he started telling me not just about my accomplishments, but about my family and what my kids' names were and where he thought I lived. And thank goodness he was wrong about a few of those things, including where I lived. That was actually my old home, which creeped me out. And so I started to be a little more careful about what I put online and not share certain things, including my city. And I even changed my name on a dating app because I was so scared of people finding out stuff and creeping me out and stalking me. Anyway, but that's just totally off topic now. So let's talk about how do we prepare our brains for more fun and not attracting creepy people who bring notes to dates.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, I mean, it sounds like a cliche trope, but, just knowing yourself and knowing what you want and deciding ahead of time that you are lovable from the get-go. So I think so much of the problem that we struggle with is looking to the other person to prove to ourselves that we are lovable. And so one of the biggest lessons that I try to teach people is that when you are born, you are lovable. You don't have to look for that from outside access at all. So once you really understand that, then it makes it so much easier to have fun and date, because then all you're seeking is, am I going to have a good time? Am I going to enjoy this other person? Are we going to connect? So I guess it's really two steps now that I'm thinking about it. One is understand that you are lovable, and as in my teaching, decide that you're the juiciest peach on the tree, and just accept that not everybody loves peaches, right? So you're just looking for whoever really appreciates the peach that you are. That is such a wonderful way to just enjoy other people and see who you can bring in, see who wants to enjoy all the fruit that you are.
So somebody may be looking for a mango and not a peach, and
Right.
that's okay.
It's okay. Right.
Right. It's
Yeah.
just another fruit.
And then the other thing is like really decide what you want. And I think in middle age, not all of us want like a traditional partner who shares all the chores and does all the things. Like, for me, I was really just thinking, I just didn't want to be, I had two mantras. Like, I don't want to be bored. And I just want someone who's like kind to me. Like, I spent 20 something years with someone that was like consistently pretty mean and nasty to me. Like, so, it's a really, sounds like a low bar, but, it really isn't. I mean, I think it's just important that you find someone that's kind to you. And so, when you show up that way, you yourself have to be kind and open and generous and willing to listen. And people, I think, reflect each other's personalities and reflect each other's attributes. So if you show up that way, then it's very likely that they'll be that way back. And then you also have a radar, like, if they don't seem to be seeing that and creating that, then all right, well, that's not your guy.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of really good points. We often don't believe in ourselves. We don't know who we are. We don't believe in our self-worth, so we settle for the crumbs of attention we get. I find also so many people are afraid to speak up and say what they want, or say this isn't working for me. Even to say this makes me happy, and see if a person can follow through and do what makes you happy because they're paying attention. But yeah, I think to take out all the pressure of dating to, like you said before, to be saved, and to date to have fun and connect and see if a person has those qualities that really matter. I think people need to really strip down that list. I just did a webinar last night about this and how we often have very unrealistic expectations for partners. And when you can strip it down to the qualities in a person that would really make you happy and be interesting, It's like sort of interesting and interested are both important. And so you also bring out that whatever you need and want, you should be the same.
Yeah, yeah. And that brings up one of the concepts I have called the manual, where we all do this, like we all have this manual and we expect people to behave this way, this way, this way, this way. And if they don't follow the manual, then we take it as an insult to ourselves. So, like the classic example that's very simple is like we all want to stack the dishwasher a certain way. And that if the other partner doesn't stack the dishwasher exactly as you want them to, then it's easy to like make it mean, oh, well, you really don't care about me, right? Because you're not stacking the dishwasher exactly as I specified. But, the problem with having a manual is you give all your power away. So if you rely on the way another person behaves to dictate how you feel, and then you're relying on another human being, and there's so many problems with that. One, right, you're giving your power away to other humans, which never works. The other is that, often people just don't know your manual. They don't know like what all the rules are. So it's easy to be disappointed. So, humans are just going to be humans. And so we just allow them to be human beings, and they're going to mess up. They're going to be annoying. I mean, no one is ever going to behave the way you want them to behave. And often these manuals are bigger than the manuals that we have for ourselves, or we, that, or we have manuals for ourselves that are also unrealistic. So the key to that is just, throwing away the manual, let them be human beings, let ourselves be human beings, and we're all going to mess up, or we're all going to hurt each other from time to time. But, in the long run, like, are you enhancing each other's lives? Are you enhancing your own life? And right in the end, like you said, like, just those are the qualities that you want to look for.
It's interesting that you talk about the manual, because I actually have created what I call an operating manual, and I give that to clients to fill out for themselves so that they can share with other people that they're dating. This is important to me, or this is how I operate best, because we expect people to know these things. So I like that you bring the manual in. It's these unspoken expectations that we have, that people are just going to know that we need quiet time to recharge, or that we want the dishwasher loaded a certain way, and certain things you can let go of. Like, does the dishwasher actually have to be loaded exactly the same way as you? Or is it good enough that somebody is just freaking loading the dishwasher?
Right, right. They're trying.
Yeah. I mean, I remember even when I was a young mom and my husband would take the kids out, and I would get upset if he didn't remember all the things in the diaper bag, or he took them someplace that I thought would tire them out too much, and it wasn't what I would do. Well, who cares? He took the kids. And being able to just appreciate that somebody's doing something kind for you, instead of what your manual says or your rule book says somebody should do in order to make you happy. But this comes up actually at the very beginning of dating, where I hear women say, he didn't plan the date. He said, tell me what you want to do. And then women go, well, if he liked me, he would actually not be so lazy, right? So we're already putting labels on people. What if he just wants to make you happy and is checking in with you, and you're already making up a story, right?
Right. Or if you just express that, like, like, I like it when the man plans the date, I that's, these are the things I like to do. And, I'd like it, I'd like you to set it up. Yeah. So, I mean, because I think it does get confusing, because you think, well, if you throw away the manual, then you're going to let people walk all over you. But that's different. I mean, that's, if you're clear and communicate, and also good at setting boundaries, which means knowing what you want or don't want ahead of time. It just, that kind of communication makes it go so much better.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Music Unlimited. You can listen to over 70 million songs and thousands of playlists and stations. Plus, you can now stream your favorite podcasts like Last First Date Radio. You can listen to any song, anytime, anywhere, on any of your devices, your smartphone, your tablet, your PC or Mac, Fire TV, and any Alexa-enabled devices like the Amazon Echo. Get Amazon Music Unlimited for free for 30 days. Just head on over to getamazonmusic.com/lastfirstdate to learn more and claim this offer. How can somebody know if they're dating just for fun, like a casual dating, or for a long-term relationship, or even ready to start dating? Because so many people say, I'm just not ready yet.
You have to figure out what you want first, before you just jump in. I certainly made that mistake of letting men lead the dating first, and before deciding what I really wanted. So it's good to just pause and just say, yeah, what are you really looking for? Are you looking for companionship? Are you looking for someone to save you? And if that's the case, I would suggest that you are not ready to date, as we were already talking about. But yeah, all dating has to start out as casual dating. So, and why not make it fun? Why not make it an adventure? And the other thing is, you have to set aside time for it, because it is time consuming. And I know a lot of women with between careers and raising kids, we're busy. So you have to really create an intention of dating. And I would suggest creating the intention of casual dating first without looking for a long-term mate, because as you casually date, eventually that long-term person is going to become more obvious to you. To make it fun, our brains are just designed out of narratives. So if you create the narrative that this is going to be hard, this is going to be painful, there's really no one out there for me, then you're going to create that narrative for yourself. But if you just create the narrative like, this is my next adventure, I'm learning, this is going to be fun, and what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is, I have a meal and I'm bored, or he's obnoxious, or he doesn't show, and then you just move on to the next one. Best case scenario is you have a nice date and you're ready for another date with that same person, and you're just enjoying it. So if you create joy, and if you think about it, I mean, what's life all about? If you are looking for a companion, I think joy is one of the most important things to foster in our own lives. So if you're not creating joy with the person that you're spending time with, then I don't know, to me, joy is a priority. And why not make it a priority? I think that's such a human need, and especially for women in your audience that are middle-aged. We're done with all that work of raising our kids. You could argue that it's never really quite done, but we're at that point where, they can take care of themselves, then yeah, create joy in your life, create something that's fun, create something that you want to be doing. And there's nothing more fun than creating that with a companion that you can also have sex with. I think that's really, to me, that's such a fulfilling part of life.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people tolerate relationships that are not bringing them joy. And when you look deeply within, there are so many things that get in the way of us having healthy relationships. So tell us a little bit about hypnotherapy and how it works to heal trauma and help people get back to joy, get back to the flow, get back to having fun in dating.
Yeah, so it's our subconscious minds is where all these narratives are created based on our childhood experiences. So we learn at a very young age, survival skills really of how to be loved, how to connect. And when you're a young child, if you think about it, that's your survival is you need to be paid attention to in order to survive. You're relying on the people around you to house you, feed you, protect you. There's so much crappy parenting out there. And so our brains don't always learn great lessons about how to attach and how to create safety. And so with hypnotherapy, what we do is we unravel all those stories and reframe them and basically upgrade that child to understand that they are safe, they are lovable from the day that they are born. And their only job to do really is to breathe and stay alive. And all these mechanisms that our brains created to try to protect us don't really apply anymore when you're an adult. And so, yeah, the hypnotherapy just really speaks to that part of the subconscious mind that wants to be reassured that it's safe. And then once we have that safety, then it makes it so much easier to, again, drop all the manuals and be able to decide what your narrative is going forward.
So how did you get into hypnotherapy?
I think like most people that go into these helping fields, I was looking for answers myself, and as a physician, I always end up in these programs where like I get trained to be the healer, the helper. But of course, I'm also seeking answers for myself, and so I was very drawn to Marissa Peer, who is the rapid transformational therapy person who helped train me in this particular type of hypnotherapy, which is rapid transformational therapy. And so I sought that and then became a practitioner. And as I was learning more about it, I saw the power of that and understanding the subconscious brain is really so helpful in so many ways. Beyond just this, what we're talking about in finding joy, but even things like physical pain, emotional pain, it helps really solve all of those things. Um, not that it's a cure all, I'm not saying that it's like going to cure all pain, but it's such a helpful tool.
Yeah, I like Marissa Peer's work a lot. I totally had forgotten about her until you brought her up just now. But it's powerful work if people want to watch. I think she has a really powerful TED Talk, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. And I think that when we seek for ourselves, we often become the teacher who can then pass it down to other people, which is really very empowering and helps us heal even further. I know that's been my experience. And what motivated me to become a dating coach was my own dating struggles and relationship struggles. And I learned so much by doing this work, by working with people and just seeing common patterns and how so many of us struggle with the same issues, and how when you get out of your own way, what magic happens, how we can really access that joy, which having it in your own life first really helps you to access it and manifest it out in the world. And so it's really powerful work. What are your final words of advice for anyone who wants to go on their last first date?
a few things, like drop all the societal performative expectations and really tap into what you want. And you know, and just keep that radar open to someone that's enhancing your life rather than saving you or providing for you. Like who makes you more of who you are, who brings out who, and who, and it could be, it doesn't have, it could just be something simple like, how much do I laugh when I'm with that person? How do I feel when I go home at the end of the day? Do I want to see them again? And trust that internal instinct. And then the final thing I want to say is just be willing to allow the relationship to evolve. You don't have to rush anything. Just your only job is to show up, be yourself, decide if you enjoy that person, and let the relationship unfold from there.
Love it. I think we have so many expectations that we pay attention to more than our own selves. And so that to me is so, so key. And you talk about feelings, how we feel with a person. We often have these checklists that are so unrealistic that have nothing to do with who that person is in a relationship. So much healthier to connect on a feelings level than on a checklist level. And I love that you bring that up. People who laugh together have long relationships. You can see these older couples who are still laughing after 30 years of marriage. And that is one of the glues that keeps a relationship together. Elaine, this has just been so wonderful. And I am so glad you came on the show and you reached out to me. And I would love for you to share one link where people can find you.
Yeah, so on my website is elainegoldhammer.com. There is a little quiz on there if you want to take the quiz about finding your saboteur, their subconscious patterns that might be holding you back. And so I welcome people love to take quizzes and just sort of learn a little bit something about themselves. So I encourage everyone just to check out the quiz.
I love saboteur work. I think once we identify those saboteurs, it can help us access our higher self, which is really what's been there all along. And as you said, it's our birthright is love, to love and be lovable. And when you figure out your patterns and what your narrative is, you can get that out of the way, kick it to the curb, and finally find a partner who brings out the best in you as you do in them. And that's what it's all about. So thank you so much, Elaine, for coming on the show.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this. This is lovely.
And thanks everybody for listening. If you love our show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It always helps. And as always, here's to your last first date. If you are ready to get unstuck, gain new tools, become more empowered, and finally find your last first date, I'd love to talk to you. Fill out an application to be considered for a complimentary half-hour love breakthrough session at lastfirstdate.com/application. That's lastfirstdate.com/application. I look forward to talking to you soon.